Hey friends, time to read one of my favorite stories. It's a Halloween story. It's fun for everyone though, even if you don't celebrate Halloween. It's called Big Pumpkin. One of the best books out there, and it has a song that goes with it. So I'm actually not going to read it. The song is going to play, but it's the best song ever. You're going to love it, and I'm going to post a YouTube link to it so that you can listen to it like a million times. I know you're going to want to. Such a good story. So here we go. Big Pumpkin.
Big Pumpkin by Erica Silverman. Illustrated by S.D. Schindler. Once there was a witch who wanted to make pumpkin pie. So she planted a pumpkin seed. She weeded and watered, and after a while a sprout poked through. And then a pumpkin grew. And it grew, and it grew, and then it grew some more. Soon Halloween was just hours away. The witch thought about pumpkin pie and bent down to take her pumpkin off the vine. Well, she pulled and she tugged and she pulled. First she pulled hard and then she pulled harder, but that pumpkin just sat. "Drat!" said the witch. Just then along came a ghost.
"Big Pumpkin,"
said the ghost.
"It's big and it's mine, but it's stuck on the vine and Halloween's just hours away,"
said the witch, and she kicked that pumpkin.
"I am bigger than you and stronger too,"
boasted the ghost.
"Let me try,"
said the witch. But she thought about pumpkin pie and stepped aside. The ghost bent down to take the pumpkin off the vine. Well, he pulled and he tugged and he pulled. First he pulled hard and then he pulled harder, but that pumpkin just sat.
"Drat!"
said the ghost. Just then along came a vampire.
"Big Pumpkin,"
said the vampire.
"It's big and it's mine, but it's stuck on the vine and Halloween's just hours away,"
said the witch, and she kicked that pumpkin.
"I am bigger than both of you and stronger too,"
boasted the vampire.
"Let me try,"
said the witch, said the ghost. But they thought about pumpkin pie and stepped aside. The vampire bent down to take the pumpkin off the vine. Well, he pulled and he tugged and he pulled. First he pulled hard and then he pulled harder, but that pumpkin just sat. "Drat!" said the vampire. Just then along came a mummy.
"Big Pumpkin,"
said the mummy.
"It's big and it's mine, but it's stuck on the vine and Halloween's just hours away,"
said the witch, and she kicked that pumpkin.
"I am bigger than all of you and stronger too,"
boasted the mummy.
"Let me try,"
said the witch, said the ghost, said the vampire. But they thought about pumpkin pie and stepped aside. The mummy bent down to take the pumpkin off the vine. Well, she pulled and she tugged and she pulled. First she pulled hard and then she pulled harder, but that pumpkin just sat.
"Drat!"
said the mummy. Just then along came a bat.
"Big Pumpkin,"
said the bat. The witch didn't say a word. She just looked at the ghost and rolled her eyes. The ghost looked at the vampire. The vampire looked at the mummy. They all looked at the little bat, and they started to laugh.
"I may not be big and I may not be strong,
Said the bat,
but I have an idea."
and the bat told them what to do. Said the witch, said the ghost, said the vampire, said the mummy. But what they thought about pumpkin pie and bent down to take the pumpkin off the vine.
Ready, set, pull!
Called the bat. The bat pulled the mummy pulled the vampire pulled the ghost pulled the witch, and the witch pulled the pumpkin. Well, they pulled and they tugged and they pulled. First they pulled hard and then they pulled harder, and snap! Off came the pumpkin, says the witch. Whoosh! It flew and it flew and thud! It landed on top of a hill and thump bump, thump bump, thump bump. It bounced all the way down to the witch's house. And when it got to her door, that pumpkin just sat.
Hooray for that bat!
Shouted the witch, and she hurried inside to make pumpkin pie. Said the ghost.
Have some more.
Said the witch.
Couldn't eat another bite.
Said the vampire.
Fun party.
Said the mummy.
Time to go!
Said the bat.
Drat!
Said the witch as she watched them all leave. Then she went right out and planted another pumpkin seed.
How much did you love that story, friends? How fun is that story? It's a good story about teamwork. Let's try to remember the book a little bit, okay? Because we do have a fun activity to go with this book. All right, so we have our witch. Let's get to the first page. We have our witch, and there she is. You see her? She is planting a pumpkin seed because this witch, she loves pumpkin pie. So do I. So when her pumpkin is finally ready to be picked, look how big it is. You see that it's growing on a vine. Remember we learned about how pumpkins grow on a vine in a pumpkin patch? This looks like it's the only pumpkin in the pumpkin patch, but it's a big one. And the witch is ready to make pumpkin pie. So what does she do? She bends down to pull her pumpkin off the vine. And that's when we get this part. Well, she pulled and she tugged and she pulled. First she pulled hard and then she pulled harder. And that pumpkin just sat. Drat, said the witch. Drat is like, oh man. Drat is like another word for, oh man. So her pumpkin is stuck on the vine. Well, along came, do you remember this character? The ghost. He wants to give a try to pull the big pumpkin off the vine. Was he able to pull it off the vine? Do you remember? Nope, he was not. That ghost gave a big try. He pulled and he tugged and he pulled. First he pulled hard and then he pulled harder, but that pumpkin just sat. Drat, said the witch. So no luck so far. Just then along came a vampire. Big pumpkin, said the vampire. So the vampire wants to give a turn to try to pull the pumpkin off the vine. So here he goes. He pulled and he tugged and he pulled. First he pulled hard and then he pulled harder, but that pumpkin just sat. Drat, said the witch. No luck for the vampire. Just then along came a mummy. Big pumpkin, said the mummy. She wants to have a try. She says, I am bigger than you and stronger too. Let's see. Was the mummy able to pull the pumpkin off the vine? Oh, she looks pretty strong. But no luck. And you know what the witch says when that pumpkin doesn't come off the vine. Drat! Just then, along came a bat. Big pumpkin, said the bat. So the witch and the ghost and the vampire and the mummy are all looking at each other because they think that the bat wants to have a try pulling the pumpkin off of the vine. Now, if the witch couldn't do it, and the ghost couldn't do it, and the vampire couldn't do it, and the mummy couldn't do it, do you think the bat would be able to do it by himself? Probably not. So the witch and the ghost and the vampire and the mummy all start laughing like, ha 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 ha, silly bat, like you won't be able to pull it off. But the bat isn't going to try to pull it off by himself. The bat has an idea, and that idea is to use teamwork, to all work together. So the bat pulls the mummy pulls the vampire pulls the ghost the ghost pulls the witch, and the witch pulled the pumpkin. And you tell me, were they able to pull the pumpkin off the vine? Yes, they were. The pumpkin actually went flying into the air and bounced all the way down the hill to the witch's house. Perfect place for her to make her pumpkin pie. The pumpkin is waiting right outside her door. And lucky, right in time for Halloween, the witch makes all of her new friends some pumpkin pie. And right after they leave, she went right out and planted another pumpkin seed. How fun is that story, friends? One of my favorites. You can watch this video again if you want, but I'm also going to link our story, this story, it's on YouTube, the song and the story, so you can watch it there too, okay? I hope you love the story as much as I did. See you soon, friends.